All right. So the general blanket sales statement for commercial is you don't have any holding costs because the tenant covers 100% of the outgoings. So council rates, water rates, insurances, maintenance, all that type of stuff, they cover that.
What about land tax?
Land tax as well, if the property is generally over the threshold. If not, when I'm doing my calculation, I will work out what the net return is anyway. So I'll kind of take into account. The same as if I have a gross lease. So i.e. gross lease is they're not paying those outgoings. They're just giving you a lump sum and you have to pay them. I'll then subtract all them off and then work out the net yield based on my decision if I buy the property or not. But that's the main benefit of commercial is the tenant also looks after all that stuff. So there's no there. About 50% of the time they even cover the property management fees. But that's the first one we'll mention is you still pay property management fees 50% of the time. They're generally depend on what purchase price is at. A property manager wants to earn about $3,000 to $5,000 a year for managing the asset. So the percentage is kind of scaled based on the rent that they're getting. For mum and dad up to $2 million, you're probably looking around that 7 to 9%. Property management fees. That gets lower as you move up. If you start buying like a $5 million one, it starts to drop to like 4%. As always, they're always negotiable, but similar to like the buyer's agent argument, you are silly if you try to go to an inferior property manager to save $500 a year because I can tell you now, you'll get more headaches from it. There's actually, even though the tenant does a lot of it, there is so much that the property manager looks after that you're not aware of. Like even stuff like routine, like inspecting the fire extinguishers, for instance, making sure they're regularly inspected because tenants get lazy with that stuff. They don't care. And if you're an owner that doesn't know that stuff, how do you know if their extinguishers haven't been checked for 5 years? The place burns down and then all of a sudden you're arguing with the insurance company of whose responsibility it is. So even though it's probably the tenants, I do not want that like on my rap sheet. I don't want to have to be going to tribunals and laws. And if someone dies, then it's even a bigger issue. So having a good property manager cover all that type of stuff is just the best way forward. It also adds a layer of protection between you and the tenant because I find tenants cry poor and a good property manager can almost play you off as the bad guy and them as the good guy, which I'm actually okay with, where they're like, we want a rental reduction. And the property manager's like, oh, I'll talk to the owner. And then they go back and go, oh, no, they can't make that work because of interest rate rises, blah, 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 blah. It adds almost like a negotiation tool for it.